The call came on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing quarterly reports for my hospitality empire. Sarah Mitchell from Elegant Events sounded nervous as she delivered the message that would change everything between my family and me forever. "Miss Harrison, I'm calling about your sister Jennifer's baby shower this Saturday. Your family has requested that we remove you from the guest list, but they'd like to keep the $30,000 deposit you provided for the event." I set down my coffee and leaned back in my leather chair, gazing out at the city skyline from my corner office on the 40th floor. The irony wasn't lost on me. For the past 3 years, my family had treated me like the black sheep, the sister who'd given up on a real career to mess around with little business ventures. They had no idea that those ventures had grown into Meridian Holdings, a $2.8 billion hospitality and entertainment empire. "I see," I said calmly. "And did they give you a reason for removing me?" Sarah's voice became even more uncomfortable. They said you don't really fit the vibe they're going for. Something about wanting only successful people at the celebration." I almost laughed. They only knew. "Sarah, I need you to cancel the entire event." "I'm sorry, what?" "But ma'am, you're not the mother-to-be. I can't just." "No, but I own Grandview Country Club where it's being held. I also own Sapphire Catering, the company providing your food and service staff. And the Ocean View Resort where the out-of-town guests are staying? That's mine too, along with the spa packages they've booked." The silence on the other end of the line stretched for nearly 10 seconds. I don't understand," Sarah whispered. "Let me make it simple. Call my sister and tell her the baby shower is cancelled. All vendors are pulling out. The resort reservations are voided. Everything. But the contracts. Check the fine print. There's a clause about event cancellation due to ownership discretion. I'll have my legal team send over the documentation within the hour." After hanging up, I sat in my office thinking about how we'd gotten to this point. Growing up, Jennifer and I had been close. She was 2 years older and had always been the golden child. Valedictorian, full scholarship to Harvard Business School, married to a successful investment banker. I'd taken a different path, starting small businesses instead of pursuing traditional corporate success. What my family never understood was that while Jennifer was climbing someone else's corporate ladder, I was building my own empire from the ground up. It started with a single food truck when I was 22. Then a small catering company. A boutique hotel. Each success funded the next venture, and I deliberately kept a low profile, operating through various LLCs and holding companies. To them, I was just Emma, the sister who never quite figured it out. They tolerated me at family gatherings but made it clear I was the consolation prize daughter. Jennifer's pregnancy had only made things worse. Suddenly, she was producing the family's first grandchild, cementing her status as the successful one while I remained the disappointing sister who couldn't even maintain a serious relationship. My phone rang again. Jennifer's name flashed on the screen. "Emma, what the hell did you do?" Her voice was shrill with panic. "Good morning to you too, Jen. The baby shower is cancelled. Sarah said you called and cancelled everything." "You can't do that." "Shly, I can." "And I did." "This is insane. You're being petty because we didn't invite you. We just thought it would be better if..." "If what?" "If the failure sister wasn't there to embarrass you in front of your friends." "That's not..." "Look, you know how important this is to me. It's my first baby and I wanted everything perfect. You understand, right? Some of David's colleagues' wives will be there, and I need to make a good impression." The casual cruelty in her voice was breathtaking. She was asking me to understand why I wasn't good enough to attend my own nephew's baby shower. "Here's what I understand, Jennifer. You took my money, $30,000 of it, to fund your perfect party. Then you decided I wasn't worthy to attend. That's what I understand. We'll pay you back." "With what money? Your husband's salary barely covers your Manhattan rent, and you haven't worked since the wedding." The truth was I'd been quietly subsidizing my family for years. Their country club membership? I owned the club and had waived their fees. Jennifer's wedding reception at the plaza? I'd covered half the cost through a vendor discount. My parents' recent cruise vacation? My travel company had provided it at cost. They thought they were living these successful lives, but I'd been the invisible hand making it possible. "Look," Jennifer's voice softened, switching to manipulation mode. "Maybe we can work something out. What if we add you back to the guest list? We could say there was a misunderstanding. No. No. Emma, be reasonable. Think about mom and dad. They're so excited about their first grandchild. Don't ruin this for them. That was Rich. Our parents who'd spent the last 5 years asking when I was going to get serious about life and find a real job. The same parents who'd introduced me to people as their daughter, who's still figuring things out, while Jennifer got the full biography recital of her achievements. The event is cancelled, Jen. Final decision. You're being ridiculous. Fine, keep your money, but you can't cancel something that isn't yours to cancel. Actually, I can. Would you like me to explain how? Before she could answer, I pulled up my computer and began reading from my holdings file. Grandview Country Club. I acquired it 2 years ago when the previous owners defaulted on their loan. Sapphire Catering. I built that from my original food truck business. Ocean View Resort. Purchased last year as part of a distressed asset acquisition. The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. You're lying, she finally whispered. Jennifer, I'm going to send you some documents. After you review them, we can talk again. I hung up and instructed my assistant to prepare a comprehensive portfolio of my business holdings, focusing on the companies directly involved in the baby shower. Within 30 minutes, a messenger was en route to Jennifer's apartment with a thick manila envelope. My phone started ringing immediately after the delivery would have arrived. First Jennifer, then my mother, then my father. I let them all go to voicemail. Jennifer's message was a mixture of shock and anger. Emma, I don't understand how this is possible. Mom and Dad need to know about this. We need to talk. My mother's message was typical. Emma, honey, Jennifer called me crying. I don't understand what's happening, but surely we can resolve this as a family. This is about your nephew, sweetheart. My father's message was more direct. Emma, this is your father. I've seen the documents Jennifer showed us. We need to have a family meeting immediately. There are things we need to discuss. I waited until evening to call them back, starting with my parents. They were at Jennifer's apartment, probably strategizing damage control. Emma. My mother's voice was overly bright. We've all been trying to reach you. I know. I've been busy. Honey, Jennifer showed us some very interesting paperwork. We had no idea you'd done so well for yourself. The condescension was still there, even in her attempt at praise. I'd done well for myself, like I was a child who'd managed to tie my shoes correctly. Is that what you want to discuss? My father took the phone. Emma, we owe you an apology. We didn't realize the extent of your success. But family is family, and we can work through this misunderstanding about the baby shower. There's no misunderstanding, Dad. Jennifer made it clear I wasn't welcome because I don't fit the image she wants to project. She was stressed about the pregnancy hormones. You know how women get. Dad, stop. What I'm saying is we can fix this. Jennifer wants to reinstate your invitation. We can have the shower as planned. No, we can't. Emma, be reasonable. Think about your nephew. This is his celebration. That was the moment I realized they still didn't get it. They thought this was a tantrum, a moment of hurt feelings that could be smoothed over with an apology and an invitation to their table. They couldn't comprehend that their daughter, the family disappointment, actually held power in this situation. Dad, let me be very clear. The event is cancelled because I chose to cancel it. Not because I'm hurt, not because I'm being petty, but because I own the venues and services involved. But surely. There are no Shirleys. Jennifer removed me from the guest list while expecting me to fund her party. That tells me exactly what my role in this family is supposed to be. Invisible benefactor. Well, I'm choosing to be visible now. I hung up and turned off my phone. The next morning brought a different kind of call. David, Jennifer's husband, reached me at my office. Emma, we need to talk. David had always been more perceptive than the rest of my family. While they saw me as the unsuccessful sister, he'd occasionally asked thoughtful questions about my businesses. I'd always deflected, not ready to reveal the full scope of what I'd built. What can I do for you, David? I saw the documents Jennifer received. I have to ask, is this real? Do you actually own all of these companies? It's real. This, Emma. The valuation numbers I'm seeing. Are you telling me you're worth $2.8 billion according to my most recent assessment? The silence was profound. And we've been treating you like. He couldn't finish the sentence. Like the family failure. Yes. Why didn't you ever say anything? That was the question I'd been asking myself. Why had I allowed them to see me as unsuccessful when I was actually more financially successful than all of them combined? Because I wanted to be loved for who I am, not what I have. I wanted Jennifer to invite me to her baby shower because I'm her sister and she wants me there, not because I can afford to pay for it. Emma, she does want you there. She's been crying since yesterday. She wants me there now. After she knows what I'm worth. That's different. Look, I know how it seems, but Jennifer really is devastated. The pregnancy has made her emotional, and she's been under pressure from her friends about having this perfect event. She made a stupid mistake. David, she took my money and then told me I wasn't good enough to attend the party it was paying for. That's not a mistake. That's a statement about how she sees our relationship. So what happens now? The shower is this Saturday. We have 40 guests expecting to attend. Then you'll need to find a new venue, new catering, and new accommodations for your out-of-town guests. Might I suggest calling around to companies I don't own? Though in this city that might be challenging. Emma, please. Think about your nephew. Everyone kept invoking my unborn nephew as if canceling his baby shower would somehow harm him. The baby would be fine. The only thing being harmed was Jennifer's image and my family's expectation that they could treat me poorly without consequences. My nephew will be born into a family that understands respect and boundaries, or he won't. That's up to you and Jennifer. After hanging up with David, I made a decision that would reshape our family dynamics permanently. I called my assistant and instructed her to prepare a comprehensive analysis of every financial interaction I'd had with my family over the past 5 years. The country club memberships, the wedding costs, the vacation subsidies, the restaurant discounts at establishments I owned, everything. The total was staggering, $847,000 in direct subsidies, plus waived fees and services worth another $340,000. I'd been supporting their lifestyle for years while they looked down on me for not having their definition of success. But I also did something else. I called Jennifer's doctor's office and arranged for a private maternity ward at my newest acquisition, Metropolitan Hospital. Then I contacted the city's premier newborn photography service and booked a session. Finally, I arranged for a month's worth of meal deliveries from my restaurant group's family nutrition program. If they wanted to exclude me from the celebration, fine. But I was still going to be the aunt my nephew deserved. Saturday arrived. I spent the morning at my home office, reviewing acquisition proposals for a small chain of family entertainment centers. Around noon, my doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I saw my parents standing on my doorstep. I'd never invited them to my house. They didn't even know where I lived. It was a penthouse that I'd purchased quietly, and my address wasn't listed anywhere they would have access to it. How did you find me? I asked through the intercom. We hired a private investigator, my father said. Emma, we need to talk. I buzzed them up, curious about what they'd learned from their investigation. They stood in my foyer, taking in the marble floors, the crystal chandelier, the original artwork on the walls. My mother's mouth was slightly open. This place must cost. She started. I own the building, I said simply. Would you like some coffee? They followed me to the kitchen, where floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city. My mother sank into one of the bar stools at the island. Emma, we need to understand what's happening here. What would you like to understand? My father pulled out a manila folder. The investigator provided us with a preliminary report about your business holdings. Is it true that you own 127 properties across 3 states? That's conservative. It's actually 143 as of last week. And the restaurant group? 37 locations with 12 more opening this year. My mother looked like she might cry. Honey, why didn't you tell us? We had no idea you were this successful. Because success shouldn't be a prerequisite for love, Mom. I wanted you to be proud of me for who I am, not impressed by my bank account. But we are proud of you, she protested. Really? When was the last time you introduced me to someone without mentioning that I was still figuring things out? She couldn't answer. My father leaned forward. Emma, we made mistakes. We can see that now. But family forgives family. Jennifer is devastated about the baby shower, and she wants to make things right. What does making things right look like to you? She wants to reschedule the shower and make sure you're the guest of honor. The guest of honor at my nephew's baby shower? That seems inappropriate. You know what I mean. She wants to acknowledge your contribution and make sure everyone knows how much the family appreciates you. They wanted to parade me around as the successful sister now, to claim credit for my achievements and use my wealth to enhance their social standing. It was exactly what I'd feared would happen if they knew the truth. I'm not interested in being your trophy daughter, Dad. That's not what we're asking. It's exactly what you're asking. You want to undo years of dismissing me by suddenly claiming me as a success story. But here's the thing, I was always successful. I was building something meaningful while you were embarrassed by my choices. The only thing that's changed is your knowledge of my net worth. My mother reached across the island and took my hand. Emma, we love you. We've always loved you. You love the idea of me. You love having a daughter you can be proud of now that you know I'm wealthy. But you didn't love me when you thought I was a failure. That's not true. Mom, 3 months ago you asked me if I was planning to get serious about life soon. You suggested I look into administrative assistant positions because they offered good benefits and stability. You were embarrassed by me. The truth hung in the air between us. They couldn't deny it because we all remembered the conversation. People change, my father said quietly. We can do better. I hope so. But change takes time and it requires acknowledging what went wrong. You two spent years treating me like a disappointment while I was secretly funding the lifestyle that made you feel successful. I pulled out my own folder and showed them the financial analysis my assistant had prepared. This is every time I've subsidized your lives over the past 5 years. The country club, the vacations, Jennifer's wedding, the restaurant bills that were mysteriously discounted. All of it came from me. My mother stared at the numbers. $800,000? Plus services and waived fees. You've been living off my success while looking down on me for not achieving what you considered real success. My father's face had gone pale. We didn't know. Because I didn't want you to know. I wanted to help because I love you, not because I was trying to prove my worth. But I can see now that allowing you to see me as unsuccessful was a mistake. It enabled you to treat me poorly without consequence. So what happens now? My mother asked. Now we establish new boundaries. I'm not your ATM and I'm not your trophy daughter. I'm your daughter, period. If you can love and respect me on those terms, we can rebuild our relationship. If not. I didn't finish the sentence. I didn't need to. My phone rang. Jennifer's name appeared on the screen. That's your other daughter, probably calling to see if you've convinced me to restore her party. Will you answer it? My mother asked. I declined the call. Jennifer needs to do her own work here. She's the one who decided I wasn't good enough for her baby shower. She's the one who needs to figure out how to fix that. My parents left an hour later, promising to think about everything we'd discussed. I watched their car disappear from my building's parking garage and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Relief. For the first time in our relationship, they knew exactly who I was. The successful businesswoman, yes, but also the daughter who'd been quietly supporting them while they dismissed her achievements. The sister who'd funded Jennifer's perfect life while being excluded from it. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. The baby shower went ahead at David's company's conference room. 20 people showed up. The sandwich platter from the corner deli was actually pretty good. I thought you should know. I typed back. I'm glad you found an alternative. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, I'm sorry, Emma. I'm really truly sorry. I don't know how to fix this. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Figure out how to be my sister again. The rest will follow. 6 weeks later, Jennifer went into labor. I was in Hong Kong finalizing the acquisition of a luxury hotel chain when David called. Emma, the baby's coming. Jennifer specifically asked me to call you. How is she? Scared. Excited. Asking for her sister. I was on a plane within 3 hours. When I arrived at the hospital, I found my family in the waiting room. Jennifer was in active labor and the atmosphere was tense with anticipation. Emma. My mother stood and hugged me. I'm so glad you're here. How is she? It's been 12 hours. The doctors say everything is progressing normally, but it's her first baby, so? David emerged from the delivery room still in scrubs. She wants to see you. I found Jennifer propped up in bed, exhausted but glowing. She started crying when she saw me. You came. Of course I came. You're having my nephew. Emma, I've been thinking about everything that happened with the baby shower. I was so wrong. Genuine labor. We can talk about this later. No, I need to say this now. I was awful to you. I took your money and then decided you weren't good enough for my party. That's not who I want to be, and it's not the example I want to set for my son. He reached for my hand. I don't care about your money. I mean, I'm impressed and proud, but that's not why I want you in my life. I want you here because you're my sister and I love you. I love you too, Jen. Will you be his godmother? Not because you're wealthy, but because you're the strongest, most successful person I know, and I want him to learn from you. I squeezed her hand. Yes. 4 hours later, James Harrison Mitchell made his entrance into the world. 6 pounds, 8 ounces of perfect baby boy. As I held my nephew for the first time, Jennifer smiled at me from her hospital bed. I have something to tell you, she said. David and I have been talking and we want to ask you something. What's that? Would you be interested in being his business mentor? When he's older, I mean. We want him to learn about entrepreneurship and building something from nothing. We want him to understand that success comes from hard work and vision, not just good grades and following someone else's path. I looked down at the tiny face in my arms. I'd be honored. And Emma? We're having a proper celebration for him next month. A christening and welcome party. You're not just invited, we want you to help plan it. As his godmother and aunt. What about the guest list? Will I fit the vibe? Jennifer winced. I deserved that. The guest list will include everyone who loves this baby. Starting with his brilliant, successful, amazing aunt. 2 months later, I stood in the garden of my Hamptons estate, watching my family celebrate my nephew's christening. The party was beautiful, elegant but warm, with close friends and family gathered to welcome James into the world. My parents mingled with my business partners and friends, no longer embarrassed by their daughter but genuinely proud of what I'd built. Jennifer and David were relaxed and happy, finally understanding that family support doesn't come with conditions. And in the center of it all was baby James, sleeping peacefully in his christening gown, surrounded by people who loved him. Jennifer found me by the garden fountain as the sun was setting. Thank you, she said simply. For what? For not giving up on us. For teaching me that love isn't conditional. For showing James what it looks like to build something meaningful. I smiled, watching our parents cooing over their grandson. We're family, Jen. That's what family does. Even when they act like idiots? Especially then. As the evening wound down and guests began to leave, I realized that canceling the baby shower had been the best decision I could have made. Not because it punished my family, but because it forced all of us to confront the truth about our relationships. Now, instead of being the family disappointment who secretly funded everyone's lifestyle, I was simply Emma, successful businesswoman, devoted sister, and very proud godmother to the most perfect baby in the world. And that, I thought as I held my sleeping nephew, was worth every uncomfortable conversation it had taken to get here.